This video is about a brief presentation on a cybersecurity solutions providing SaaS company called SentinelOne. So we will try to go over its business, its financials, its product, and how they are positioned with respect to the competitors, and where their stock is now, and what opportunities that may be there investing in the stock. Okay, with that said, let's proceed. So, usual disclaimers. This is not a recommendation to invest in SentinelOne. The information provided in this presentation is for educative purpose only. Investing involves capital risk. Information provided here could have factual errors. Everyone must do own due diligence before investing in this stock or any other stock. Okay. Now, SentinelOne and its competitors. Basically, we compare from its ARR front, which is the annual recurring revenue. We will also briefly see what is this in a separate slide, what this annual recurring revenue is. So basically, we are taking 4 companies to look at from a competition point of view and where SentinelOne is relatively placed. So Palo Alto is the big gorilla in the room, and CrowdStrike is also one of the emerging gorillas, just next to Palo Alto, and Zscaler at number 3 and SentinelOne at number 4, from purely rated from the ARR revenue point of view. So Palo Alto is about $5.6 billion in annual recurring revenue. CrowdStrike is about $4.24 billion in annual recurring revenue, and Zscaler at $2.9 billion, and SentinelOne just made the $1 billion club. Okay, so on the notes part, the Palo Alto has this specific metric focuses on their high growth subscription, cloud, and security products, growing 32% year over year. For CrowdStrike, its fiscal year 2025 ended in January 31st, 2025. So the data may be slightly old because we are almost at the end of the year. This figure represents a 23% year over year growth. And Zscaler was on track to reach $3 billion or more in the ARR by the end of Q4 FY 2025. So they were like April, so this also is slightly older. I took these data from Gemini, and for SentinelOne, it seems more latest data, that is July 31st, 2025. So it says reported reaching the $1 billion ARR milestone in its fiscal Q2 2026, which corresponds to the calendar Q2 2025. Okay, let's proceed. So to just get an idea of the business SentinelOne is involved in, its core business, it's a leading AI-powered cybersecurity platform focused on autonomous endpoint protection, detection, response, EDR, XDR. Its flagship Singularity platform uses behavioral AI, and actually SentinelOne has evolved to supporting cloud security also. They are now an all-encompassing provider, by the way, based on what I had learned. Okay. So its flagship Singularity platform is the main product, and it uses behavioral AI and machine learning, basically prevent, detect, and respond to threats in real time across endpoints, cloud workloads, IoT, and identity. deliver autonomous single-agent architecture that replaces legacy antivirus with next-gen EDR XDR, enable extended visibility and automated remediation via a unified data lake and AI-driven analytics. And key differentiation of this product over its competitor are autonomy. The AI makes decisions at machine speed without human intervention. One agent, one console, consolidates EPP, EDR, cloud, identity, and data protection. High efficacy, consistency ranked in number 1 in MITRE attack evaluations. MITRE is like some kind of a third-party evaluator that evaluates the cybersecurity solutions with the different kinds of attacks and see how these solutions respond to. And it seems like SentinelOne came up on top with its Singularity platform. And primary markets are large enterprises, mid-market, public sector, even government, I would say. Later on, we will go over that part on SentinelOne qualifying into a major FedRAMP program. And it has 1,500 customers with over with 100K ARR, and business model subscription based ARR from Singularity platform modules, core, control, cloud, identity, and data lake. So what's the SaaS operating model and ARR? SaaS basically stands for software as a service business. Annual recurring revenue is a fundamental metric in the world of software as a service and subscription-based businesses. Annual recurring revenue, ARR, is standardized measure of predictable recurring revenue that a company expects to receive from its customers over a 1-year period from its active subscription plans. It is used to normalize monthly and annual subscription values into a single comparable annual figure. Basically, the key characteristics are it is recurring, annualized, and forward-looking, as you can see. So SentinelOne and its competitors ARR friend comparison. Basically, this also shows the growth, because if you just see the revenue numbers, that is one end. But you know, as far as SaaS companies, you would like to see how they are growing that ARR. So in this slide, we are seeing that part, and in this case, I have used Grok from the X platform. I asked a question. Basically, I was sequentially asking a lot of questions about SentinelOne and its competitors, and one of the questions I asked was, now summarize the above in a single table for all these 4 corporations. Obviously, I was in the context of these 4 corporations, which was SentinelOne, Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, and Zscaler. I chose these peers, the 3 peers, Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, and Zscaler, as a competing peer representation, because these guys were very, very relevant to what SentinelOne is doing. So as we can see, on the ending ARR, we have 1 billion, 7 billion, 4.66 billion, and 3 billion for these 4 companies respectively. And year-over-year growth for SentinelOne was 24% ARR when you look at the ARR growth, and Palo Alto Networks was at 26 to 27%, and actually there is also on the right side, there is in the comment part, it says 32%. I don't know which one it is, but then CrowdStrike is at 20%. Again, on the right side it shows 22%, and then Zscaler, it has 22% growth. Okay, and so SentinelOne, how they started, the company obviously started its operations way back before they became public, in the year of 2010, it looks like. They actually started with an approach of using AI and machine learning before this AI hype all came up. Right now we are seeing a lot of AI related talk, huge market capitalizations of companies that are and hyperscalers and whatnot. Obviously Nvidia got into this trillion-dollar club, following this demand for AI. So the point of it is, SentinelOne has started way back, as an AI-powered cybersecurity company in year of 2010. So it says first to AI/ML. ML stands for machine learning. Reinvented legacy antivirus and endpoint security with machine learning. And behavioral AI, AI-powered detections, investigations, and response. And so what machine learning is in the context of AI is basically machine learning is a technique by which a lot of learning data is put into the system, and there are multiple ways the machine can learn. One is supervised learning, other type is unsupervised learning, for example. In supervised learning, we teach the machine as to if you got this kind of data, this is the expected response. In unsupervised learning, the machine itself learns the data and the response. So it builds some kind of graph inside and then knows to take decisions according to what it learned, either through supervised learning or unsupervised learning. Okay, but a lot of in machine learning, it also may use statistical techniques inside. For example, the simplest machine learning technique that one can think of is, many of us would have done statistics in college, and linear regression. What is linear regression? If you have a set of data and you have a set of averages that are put in mean values or something, you can actually draw a trend line through those values that are in a cluster plot, but you can actually fit a linear line, minimizing the errors that will best fit these means around the line, above and below. So you have a trend that could be drawn for a given set of data. Okay, and machine learning is not only about linear regression; it can also get into non-linear regressions where it can fit a curve, a second-order curve or a third-order curve, or it could be a nth order. So it can get, the equations can get quite complex, but it can follow the pattern of the data and then kind of try to predict where the data may, for a given input, what should be the output. And what is behavioral AI? Behavioral AI is the AI learns, what is the regular behavior. Okay, say, if you take a restaurant, what happens? There are the cooks, there are the sales clerks, there are the servers who are serving the desks, and then there are the cleaners that are picking up the vessels, and each are doing their jobs. So the pattern in which all these people do their jobs. And there are, of course, customers who come in, order food, either as a takeout or, they sit and eat inside the restaurant and go. Occasionally, a security person may walk in, and talk to the clerk about something in the parking lot. So if you see overall, from sheerly from a behavioral standpoint, except the security clerk walking in, everything else is a normal operation for a given day. Not on all days the security clerk may walk in with some chaos going on in the parking lot, on the strip mall maybe. So when the security clerk comes in, that's the behavior, that's noted, that's not a normal behavior. So there is some exception that is happening. So I'm just trying to give you, from a human perception, what is normal, what is abnormal. So AI also can actually learn what is a normal behavior in a cyber security space, right? If the users are all of a network or of a corporate server, do a normal operation like they type an email, send an email, attach some PowerPoint slides. They may be doing normal operations like this. But if one particular employee starts to download the entire server over several hours, volumes of data, and then store in his local drive, now the AI spots it as some kind of abnormal behavior, because this is not done usually by the employees. So this could be that the employee is either trying to steal the secret of the company, or he is trying to do something that can jeopardize the business of this company very soon. So it may be flagged to the network security operators that are employed by the company to oversee this network, that there is nothing abnormal that happens, the company is secure. So in this case, the AI itself can spot what is normal behavior for the users versus what is abnormal behavior. Okay, so that's what they are calling AI powered detections, investigations, and response. And by 2020, I believe these people SentinelOne started selling solutions. I believe they probably marketed about $46 million worth of software. You could see based on the publicly available data. And they became industry leader with 24 patents in AI security from the patent point of view. So obviously they are trying to say they got more patents than any other. Forbes 50 AI company in 2020, in the year 2020. And then Purple AI came up sometime between this 2020-2025 period. The first security company to launch a generative AI security analyst and assistant. And then 2025 plus, as we are through this year, they are in the new financial year 2026 as far as the company is concerned. They are doing this autonomous security, unified defense, outpace threats, and enhance security operations. In fact, the company bought a new company called Prompt. They are into LLM security, I believe, as Fortune 500 companies are investing more into AI and using LLMs, large language models, and agentic AI to become more efficient. It also causes new security threats, because what is AI and LLM? They basically amplify human behavior. Whatever you input, you make it learn. They are going to actually amplify the effect of it and then correlate several things and give you an output, etc. So this amplification also means when a security threat is introduced by an LLM execution, that can get a very huge amplified response before anybody could react. If you have empowered the AI to act on your servers, like the LLM, some employee can make a query to this LLM that can actually jeopardize the security of the company. So how do you prevent that from this, from occurring, is using some kind of, filters before the prompt hits the LLM. The prompt is kind of verified that it is not causing a security issue. For example, you could make some kind of a security threat with the prompt that could actually be injecting some kind of a script that can execute, that can download some malware, or it can erase files or lock files or encrypt files, and then create a situation wherein ransomware kind of situation can arise. So this is where a native AI security solution that is provided by SentinelOne can actually, easily intercept at machine speed that something malicious is happening through this prompting. It can stop right there. That prompt will not be allowed to execute. Okay, because gone are the days where malware means it is some kind of code. It could be an assembly language code or a high level language code, whatever it is, but that code has a signature on the drive. Okay, so that code, it's already found by these antivirus mechanisms. So there is a signature that executable's signature, size of the file, and or even querying the headers of the file, etc., will show that it is a malicious malware. That means these antivirus can easily kill those, or they can actually kind of quarantine those from execution and flag those. But if something happens during runtime with a script or some kind of an LLM prompting, nobody can easily intercept unless there is an autonomous solution with AI capabilities that can easily spot this kind of cyber threat emerging from execution of a prompt in an LLM or some kind of a malicious script that is actually in runtime can cause downloads of malware or accessing dark web, or that can potentially jeopardize the whole system. So obviously SentinelOne is looking ahead in their acquisitions, and the recent purchase of Prompt is one of those. Okay, so if you're interested, you can Google on the on the company and see how that is effective for threats emerging from the LLM, large language models, and agentic AI. Okay, we'll move on. So SentinelOne Singularity platform is their main product. It spans the entire security space. So basically, for people who are familiar with this security, cyber security, they look at all these different taxonomies: endpoint, cloud, data, identity, exposure management, and threat services. Singularity platform is now very comprehensive. You can see it has all these silos under AI and automation, endpoint, cloud. Within cloud itself, we have got the CWP, CNAP, CSPM, CIEM, ASPM, CDR, CDS, a lot of acronyms. Of course, all these squares have to be checked if one has to call their solution as a cloud security providing one. Okay. And of course, there is data, AICM, and hyperautomation, data and security analytics, data storage and restoration, log management, marketplace integrations. Then identity and exposure management and threat services, you can go over those in your leisure. Okay. And of course, you will also come across these other things as AI and hyperautomation, which has all these things like static AI, behavioral AI, generative AI, agentic AI, autonomous SOC, rollback, and streaming engine. What they mean by rollback is if a system suffered a breach, this security provider providing software, the Singularity, can actually spot it and stop from further damage, and then roll back the system to a reference automatically before the breach, okay, at a very high speed. So the downtime will be very, very minimal. That's what's the rollback part. Okay. And then of course there is data lake, which is the data is obviously, anytime you have network security issue happens, some kind of threat happens, there is a lot of data collected. By the way, most of it is noise. and it is really the hard part to find which is the real threat. And maybe there is a needle in a haystack that you have to find, but that is where this unified data lake and AI based solution that can actually reduce, it will actually go through the entire log and figure out which one is really worth looking into. It means what? The cybersecurity teams now can actually, get freed up uh, uh, looking at a lot of junk data that has no meaning, and potentially miss a real situation. But in this case, the actual signals produced out of the singularity is very high compared to the noise. So this is one thing the singularity is recognized for, and how they accomplish it, that is through the AI and ML. Okay, and other thing is singularity marketplace integrations achieve unified detection and response through singularity platform across vast ecosystem of industry participants. What they mean by here is there could be third-party solutions. It need not be everything singularity and everything that is provided by SentinelOne. Some of them may have installed base of other solutions, but singularity, but the company may still would like to, at the top level, may want to have the singularity platform manage all its risks, but it may have other components that were subscribed to from other vendors. So this can seamlessly connect to those and actually manage with those data. That's what it means. Okay. And SentinelOne singularity platform high level view, as you can see, it's on the top you have this purple AI, and you have this data lake, which is a vast data that is collected and given to the AI for browsing through and figure out the actions to be performed. And then you have on the left side you have this endpoint singularity. On the right side you have this cloud security. Then you can also have third-party endpoints coming in and third-party cloud security come in. All kinds of data can be ingested by the singularity's data lake. So data lake is, you can kind of imagine, it is a lake that collects all the water, in this case all the data that comes in from not only the singularity platform, but from the third-party systems as well. And at the bottom you are seeing identity, email, network, and unstructured data and logs, all of it kind of seamlessly connecting, feeding data to this singularity platform. You need to have security related to emails, you need to have security related to identity, you need to have network security related data, you need to, for example, if a network is breached or not, what if there is anything the firewall can give, somebody is trying to attack the system or something, everything is fed to this singularity platform. And then of course there is unstructured data and logs that could be given to analysis. And this was from the presentation that that was part of the second quarter of financial year 2026 that was made in August of 2025 by the company. I have directly copied those slides, maybe some more slides that I copied as we go through this. So what they are trying to show here is the evolution. You have the legacy antivirus systems, endpoint, you have McAfee and Symantec, Norton kind of thing. And basically they look for virus signatures, known viruses, known malware, so they can isolate. But then, in this case, it is always that the company has to find new viruses that are circulating around, and then add those to the library to recognize, so that if a user is incurring that virus in the computer or the in either endpoint like a tablet or something, if that is already recognized by Norton or McAfee, they will actually spot that virus and actually quarantine that file. But if it is a new virus that was never detected, it can come into the system because by the very virtue of it, it should be found already for these to act. So that's why they say it's people powered. People meaning the people in these companies that are constantly looking for viruses and their signatures and then adding them to the antivirus software so they can be recognized and killed. And these kind of solutions lack scale and coverage. That's what SentinelOne is trying to say, and rarely finds advanced attacks. Okay. And next level is people driving tech from the old legacy antivirus systems to the people driving tech, right? So in this case, in this silo, they are putting CrowdStrike solutions, Microsoft, and I don't know who is Carbon Black, or cloud-based monitoring, people-powered, technology-assisted, data-intensive haystack telemetry, reactive response, complex recovery. So in this case, it is cloud-based. The cloud has to be always on. Okay, if an endpoint is not connected to the cloud, it is possibly it gets into some new exposures. But the assumption here is all the endpoints are connected to the cloud, and then such as Microsoft 365, for example, and then you have these cloud-based monitoring happens, and by telemetry, what they mean is the rich amount of data they keep collecting based on what the user is doing, what the emails are having content. Every email is scanned. Every file attachment is scanned, and that is in and out of the cloud servers and endpoints and whatnot. And then anything abnormal gets flagged. But in a given corporate environment with several thousand employees, you can imagine the amount of data that will be generated, amount of analysis one needs to do. That's what they mean by data intensive haystack telemetry. So maybe some are real warnings, but maybe one warning in a million messages are really worthwhile to take an action. And then these are like reactive responses apparently, because once something happens, only the systems take over, security systems take over and isolate, etc. That's what they mean by reactive. Some action has to happen before corrective action takes place. It could be that immediate quarantine of the system and shutdown of some server, whatever. That is the reactive response. So what SentinelOne is trying to say is theirs is more advanced than all these, because they are using AI on the device and cloud. They are kind of preemptive. They kind of not react, but they are actually proactively looking for threats. That's what they mean. And I don't know much about their solution because I am not in the field of IT security. I know a lot of software and how things work, but my idea on IT security is very minimal. So I'll take their word here. What they have put in their annual earnings report, or the presentation related to the earnings report. So they are trying to position their or outlining their solution as superior to the old legacy as well as people driving tech kind of cybersecurity solution based on AI on device and cloud. And actually they are saying that even a device need not be plugged into the cloud. It could be a laptop that is away from the cloud without network connection, but the user may be connected to some other network. But the agent on that laptop is still on, and it can actually spot, if some new malware is entering or some malicious code is getting executed that can actually jeopardize the system, and later the systems this device will be connected into. So even offline, this can offer the solution for the endpoints. That is one thing I read from the brochure somewhere. And they are obviously claiming their solution is bigger and better from an AI standpoint. Okay, so AI on device plus cloud, unified data platform, technology that scales, people, and machine built context, response, and automations reduce mean time to respond and recovery. Okay. August 2025 release data, second quarter FY 2026 highlights, financial highlights here. Okay. So this is what is more of interest for stock investors, for example, because they actually want to see the numbers. But probably they first want to see the numbers before they even start to scrub the company further, right? So the numbers. That's how I also started, because it came into some kind of a screen that I was doing on my broker, and then I found, oh, okay, this has got a very good growth and relatively low priced. So that's what interested me. Then I wanted to further scrub, and I ended up doing a lot of reading and research through Grok and Gemini, etc., and also reading their annual reports and their earnings report, etc., and also some competitor reports as well. So I thought, I can put some kind of slide deck and kind of educate others also on what I learned. Okay, so now jumping right into this financial year highlights, 2026 quarter 2 highlights. They are claiming a 24% ARR growth, and that's about just about 1 million, above 1 billion, 1,001 million it is. So this is very, I'm kind of familiar with SaaS companies. Getting to $1 billion is a big deal. Okay, ARR. This is like an elite club. Imagine selling your software or whatever you built for subscriptions that are going to be worth $1 billion. Okay, that is huge. Okay, obviously there are bigger competitors that have got higher sales than SentinelOne, but SentinelOne is no pushover. With the 1 billion, they are demanding a seat in the room. So that's what it is. So in fact, my interest peaked as soon as I saw they hit that $1 billion club. I had seen this company before, in my earlier, screens, but their revenue was much lower, so it didn't interest me that much. But when I saw they hit 1 billion, I woke up. A bulb blew in my mind. Maybe it is worth a second look. Okay. And then, they are claiming that 23% of their customers have over 100K plus ARR. That's great, And then they are having the 50% or so, new bookings come from emerging products. Okay. That is good. The products they are developing is having good demand. And from a pure revenue point of view, they are growing at 22%, because not everything is subscription revenue. Maybe there is also some other revenues that come in. And then 79% gross margin, which is great for a SaaS company. And then 2% operating margin. One thing with SaaS is that their operating expenses are usually high, because they are in a very high technology area, and they have to provide a lot of compensation for their engineers to stay. In this case, they are higher up the high, because they are in the AI ML. Those engineers command very significant compensation, because to get the top tier talent to keep them on going with the firm, you have to pay a lot, and a lot of it they don't do through cash. They provide through SBC, or what they call a stock based compensation. So per GAAP, US GAAP standards, you can't do this behind the scene stock offering to your employees and then not expense it. So you have to expense it as operating expense. That's, if you go look into their financials, that is what you will find. Just take their stock comp and the depreciation, both are non-cash charges, and add back into this operating income, you will find they are making good money. Okay, so they are, in this case, this 2% is after the stock comp and depreciation amortization expenses. So because that is what per GAAP you have to account for those, okay, as expenses. Okay, but this is true with even CrowdStrike. Even there, they also have the same issue of they are not GAAP profitable yet, I believe, or until I looked a few months ago, I think they were not GAAP profitable due to their SBC again. But if you go look at their cash flow, of course they are cash flow positive, and same as they, recently SentinelOne also became cash flow positive, and CrowdStrike makes a good amount of free cash flow because, obviously for the free cash flow you don't count the stock-based compensation because it's not a cash expense, and you can add back the depreciation also. So then you can get free cash flow, a good amount of free cash flow. And for SentinelOne, they recently became free cash flow positive, and they're also, recently this 2% of operating margin they are able to produce. Okay, but it is good that the revenue they are growing at ARR of 24%. And key takeaways of this financial report was that 24% growth surpassed $1 billion scale, on track to deliver top tier growth and full year profitability. 23% of growth of 100K plus ARR customers, and recorded ARR per customers driven by increasing platform adoption. And then platform momentum is data, accelerated bookings growth, and record contribution to quarterly bookings. And roughly 50% of quarterly bookings from emerging products like data, AI, cloud, and others. Expanded platform offerings through announced acquisition of Prompt Security that I was talking about earlier, and industry first AI runtime security for visibility, confidence, and control over Gen AI. This is a very important area, and at the present, I could be wrong, but at the present it seems only SentinelOne seems to have this capability because they got this prompt security integrated. I mean, they have bought it, and I don't know the level of integration at this point, but they are there. Looks like Purple AI growing triple digits with record high attach rates for licenses sold in Q2. So Purple AI is growing great. You can see this is a very healthy looking chart. To any stock investor, this is the kind of bar graph one would like to see, the increasing bars, right? So the ARR is increasing, the annual revenue is increasing, and we saw it's 24% and 22%. And for a company, for the future of the company, the target addressable market is very important. Are they in a smaller market? Are they in a larger market is the question. So it looks like this is a huge market. Right now they are making a $1 billion ARR, and looks like they have a market a size of 100 billion. Of course, there are competitors, which is for everybody to take. But seems like, we saw Palo Alto, less than $10 billion, CrowdStrike less than $10 billion of revenue. So there is a lot of, when you talk about 100 billion here, it looks like plenty of growth ahead in this market for all these players to go and grab. And what SentinelOne is trying to say is they have all these areas identified where they can actually sell their products into. So endpoint security, they are very strong. They think there is a $17 billion opportunity, and there is data analytics, that is $31 billion opportunity, and cloud security is another $12 billion opportunity, and Gen AI security, which we were talking about on the prompt, etc., that's about $3 billion. And plus there is a $50 billion opportunity on the identity security, exposure management, managed detection and response, data protection, and threat integration. So there is, you know, there is a uh, what you can say, if you have a bunch of cattle, you would like to have fertile lands. So it's the same thing. The time is like that. Is it fertile? Is it green? You know, and does it have a lot of resources to grow, grab on? So looks like SentinelOne is positioned well as far as the time is concerned. And SentinelOne seems to be well recognized by industry in the industry. So they are a leader in the 2025 Gartner Magic Quadrant for endpoint protection platforms for fifth consecutive year. A leader in Frost Radar, the growth and innovation leader in 2025 Frost and Sullivan. Enterprise evaluation, 100% protection and detection, and zero delays or configuration changes. Leader G2 Grid for cloud native application protection platform CN app, highest rated 4.9 out of 5. 95% would recommend SentinelOne. And FedRAMP high authorized for endpoint AI SIEM, Purple AI, CN app, and hyperautomation. This FedRAMP is very, very important, and I did some research on this. I realized SentinelOne is on the verge of probably expanding its business because this is huge. I dedicated a few more slides for this FedRAMP so that we can learn into what it is. Of course, my resources are, I use these LLMs, the Gen AI through Gemini and Grok. They are great actually. So you don't have to go and do all the work through different websites. It collects and then it correlates the information and kind of compounds them into one presentable data set. So this is what it is. So I asked, provide details on SentinelOne Corporation, a provider of cybersecurity solutions qualifying for FedRAMP high authorized, and why is it important? That I prompted to Google Gemini, and this is what he had to say. So SentinelOne, a provider of AI-powered cybersecurity solutions, has achieved a FedRAMP high impact level authorization for several components of its Singularity platform, including the Singularity Data Lake and most recently services like Purple AI, Singularity Cloud Security, and Singularity Hyperautomation. This authorization signifies that SentinelOne's cloud services have met the most stringent, the quote-unquote most stringent security requirements established by the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, or FedRAMP. Okay, so this is about US government agency, and they have the highest of the highest requirements when it comes to cyber security, because they not only deal with regular cyber hackers, but rather national enemies, enemies from any foreign country that are actually doing it at a state level with a lot of infrastructure to hack into systems, government systems. So they have to have the best of the best security. And if SentinelOne actually qualified into that, that made me think, oh well, they must be having a very strong product. Okay, I don't know what you all think about it, but that's what I think. Okay. And there are 4 slides I dedicated on this FedRAMP high authorized. So this is the highest level of security assurance. FedRAMP high is designed to protect the most sensitive unclassified US government data. It requires compliance with the largest set of security controls, approximately 410 controls, which addresses systems where a loss of confidentiality, integrity, or availability would have a severe or catastrophic adverse effect on organizational operations, national security, or public safety. Access to critical government contracts. Yeah, this is the moolah part. What if you pass this FedRAMP authorization? What does it mean to you from a business point of view? You can't go win a government contract unless you are you are a qualified vendor through FedRAMP. Because they test several things before they approve. Federal agencies are required to only use cloud services that are achieved the necessary FedRAMP authorization for the specific impact level. Achieving the high level opens the door for lucrative government contracts dealing with sensitive data, making SentinelOne a viable and trusted vendor for the most security conscious government entities. Validation of capabilities. The authorization validates the strength and maturity of SentinelOne's security program and its ability to defend against sophisticated cyber threats in a cloud environment. The fact that SentinelOne has the first cybersecurity AI analyst, Purple AI, to achieve this high-level status underscores its advanced autonomous capabilities in the federal space. I will repeat. The fact that SentinelOne has the first cybersecurity AI analyst in Purple AI to achieve this high-level status underscores its advanced autonomous capabilities in the federal space. Of course, this was provided to me from Google Gemini. Enabling secure cloud adoption. By meeting the standard, SentinelOne allows federal agencies to accelerate their secure adoption of modern cloud technologies while ensuring compliance with federal mandates, simplifying the procurement and risk management processes. In essence, the FedRAMP high authorization acts as the gold standard that validates SentinelOne's platform as secure enough to handle the US government's most critical information assets. Just think about this, right? What does it mean? The federal government has the highest of highest standards for security to verify a cybersecurity platform, and SentinelOne Singularity passed that, and along with the Purple AI and whatnot. So if they pass that, if they are good enough for the federal government, they are obviously good for corporations. It follows naturally from a logic standpoint. At least that's how I interpret. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I think. If it is good for the government, who face extreme threats from enemy states and terrorists and whatnot, who may be equipped with a lot of resources to crack into systems, if it is good for that kind of security situation to provide security, it will be good for normal corporate level things. Okay, that's the interpretation. And of course, we are interested in a profitable company. Recently they became profitable. As you can see, they have a great gross margin, and operating margin just became positive, and net income margin also became just positive, and also they even produced a 1.8% of free cash flow from the revenue that was generated. So this is great. So this is again a pivot that this company may have achieved very recently. Okay, so that is another thing that turned on my attention on this. And let's see this cybersecurity growth and some scrub of 4 companies for contrasting. We already saw what those 4 are. Cybersecurity is a rapidly growing area. We see about double-digit annual revenue growth for all the major players. We are going to compare 4 stocks in this space by their ARR size and growth rates and their price to sales multiples. Then see if something is trading at a discount to its ARR growth rate compared to its larger peers. So in this case, I had used the Grok from the X platform. So the question posted to him was, provide the latest price to sales multiple data based on latest stock price for these 4 companies, which are Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, and SentinelOne. So SentinelOne, as of Friday on October 31st, it was $17.85 a share, and Palo Alto was $220.24, and CrowdStrike was $546.94, and Zscaler's latest price was $331.14. And the market caps are 5.98 billion or close to $6 billion for SentinelOne. Palo Alto is at 149 billions and CrowdStrike is at 137 billions and Zscaler 52. And TTM revenue was SentinelOne is 907 and Palo Alto is 9.22. CrowdStrike was 4.34 and Zscaler was 2.6. And at least these are the numbers used to calculate the price to sales ratio. I'm not sure if these are the most latest data, but probably fairly close on the TTM revenue, etc. PS ratio is 6.35 for the SentinelOne. Basically, how that is calculated, you take the market cap and you divide the sales, which is 907.38 million, and you arrive at a ratio of 6.35. And Palo Alto is at 16.1 and CrowdStrike is at 28.35. Zscaler is at 17.77. Obviously, you can see the price to sales ratio awarded by the market, or the multiple awarded by the market, is very low for SentinelOne compared to its peers. They are all above the teens, and in CrowdStrike's case, it is very rich. There could be reasons. I'm not saying one way or other. They don't deserve or anything like that. At this point, I want to be very neutral, and I want to see whether SentinelOne is anyway mispriced or anything like that. Okay. What did the company guide for third quarter 2026? The guidance is important on all the SaaS companies. Okay. So in this case, they provided a guidance of $256 million for the third quarter, and that corresponds to 22% year-over-year growth, up from Q2's 2022 42 million. So sequentially also they are going to be up. And non-GAAP operating margin is 4%. Remember in Q2 it was 2%. So this is good. They are increasing their operating margin, a step in the right direction, in fact. And then for the full year guidance is 3%, because full year will include even the past quarters, which were not so great. So the important message here is the operating margin is increasing, positive side. And full year FY 2026 update is revenue is raised to 998 to 1.02 billion. At the midpoint, it's going to be a $1 billion. Reflects optimism in AI-driven platform adoption and net new ARR additions. This guidance underscores SentinelOne's confidence in sustained demand for its Singularity platform, with executives highlighting strong execution and business momentum in the earnings call. For context, Q3 results are scheduled for the release on December 9th, 2025. I do not know if this is the official date. Maybe they will change, maybe they won't. But if you are interested, you should go actually check what is the actual earnings date. Pillars for potential stock appreciation. So I'm looking at, since this stock is kind of priced low, are there any, kind of catalysts that are there to get this stock up, to see that, multiples that are similar to its competitors? Because it is operating in an exciting space, and obviously they have some very unique solutions from a native AI product standpoint, and they qualified for the FedRAMP, which is the highest security standard. So their product definitely seems like they are, standing neck to neck, or able to look in the eyes of the others, and even in some cases maybe superior. I'm not an expert, but just based on reading some of this, I'm kind of thinking like that. Maybe the competitors are very good also, but let's proceed. Take a look. Strong 24% ARR growth is one of the potential pillars, because if they keep maintaining this kind of revenue, you can imagine if you have the rule of 72, the bankers ratio, in 3 years you would have your ARR double, right? 72 by 24, is going to be a ratio of 3. So in 3 years, your ARR becomes double. If it is 1 billion now, in 3 years, if they maintain this rate, they could be at 2 billion. Okay. As business increases, it should help expand operating margins and free cash flow margins. The bullish guide for third quarter FY 2026, which is the third quarter actually calendar year 2025, shows which ends very soon now. Actually, it already ended, I think. So that's what they would report in December. They don't usually end in September, I believe. Theirs probably ends in October. The bullish guide for third quarter FY 2026 shows possibility of a sequential and year-over-year margin expansion, to re-emphasize. They achieved the entry into the $1 billion club. They just made that $1 billion ARR, which is great. That's actually elite. It is not easy. Having known SaaS companies, many friends work in there. Many struggle actually. If you are making 1 billion, you are seriously kicking some butts. Okay. Recently became non-GAAP profitable. A good part of the OPEX goes into non-cash stock-based compensation. As I hinted earlier, you have to keep your engineers, they have to be paid in cash as well as stock. So to minimize the cash burn, they give more stock, but they have to be expensed as operating expense, even though you're not actually spending on cash. But it does increase the share count. Okay. 4x customer growth in the prior 24 months, 4 times. If they had like 400 customers or 350 customers, now they could be closer to 1500 customers. So they are growing very rapidly. But when you are growing at this rate, they may be on the verge of some kind of a flywheel effect, because think about it. Once you breach into a new customer, they deploy your solutions, they get used to this ease of using AI and all that, and then they are impressed with your solution. They are not going to easily switch. Okay, and they are going to order more new products from the suite of software that is available, more tools and things like that. They are going to pay for more subscription. As initially they may start small, but they grow into the subscription, and when they like the product. And also what happens is, an IT security engineer from one company who has implemented SentinelOne may switch and then go to another company because he is very convinced about the solution. He is going to probably do a word of mouth as to how good it is, and they should probably try out this solution. Especially if they are kind of like a CTO or at that level, or even a manager from an IT security level kind of thing, can influence newer companies when they switch their jobs, right? So eventually a flywheel effect takes over. So the success breeds onto itself, and so as you achieve the $1 billion club, they are getting closer and closer to that. Because think about it, Microsoft at some point, before they hit this flywheel effect, right? They became the de facto world standard for computing, right? With the Microsoft Windows. Of course, I'm not saying SentinelOne will become like Microsoft. That's not my intent. What I'm saying is, initially it must have been small, but as the computers became proliferated, and then more Windows and DOS kind of implementations were being used by people, they were familiar with it. The next system they buy is a Windows system, and the next system they buy is a Windows system, and the upgrades to Windows system. And so, we are all very much hooked on to Microsoft now. It is the same thing with a lot of software. Okay, so hopefully, some kind of flywheel effect takes over for SentinelOne. That is also a potential pillar, because now that they got into this 1 billion, that obviously they must be selling a lot of software to a lot of people, a lot of customers. So those customers are going to order new licenses, or new features, so they have to pay up more. That's what I mean here. Okay, so more customers, more features, more subscriptions, and maintain this ARR rate. As I said, in 3 years you double, and then in the next 3 years you become, kind of go become 4 times. So in 6 years you achieve 4 times. Actually, if you go look at the revenues, based on publicly reported data, in 2020 they only had 46 million of revenue. In sometime in 2025 they are almost in the $1 billion club. Look at it, that's about 20 times. Okay, they grew the revenue in 6 years over 19 times. Okay, but of course, from a small revenue to come to 1 billion, you could have achieved it in 6 years. But from here, the growth has to kind of somewhat, the curve has to saturate. It doesn't grow, the dy by dt, right? The calculus is not going to be that steep. But as long as they can maintain a double digit, above 20% kind of growth, they are going to be very healthy. Their business will grow very fast. Okay. But again, that growth depends on how they continue to execute. The customers have to be excited about their products. They are obviously having a good start here, coming into this 1 billion club, in these 6 years. But it all depends on future execution and where the competitors are, and the economy and budgets and things like that. 4x customers, then more than 1500 customers with the 100k ARR. So this is a great thing, because obviously there are a lot of customers paying a lot of money for their solution, and that base is growing at 23%, they say. Again, that number again shows that they can actually double that base in about 3.5 years, right? Less than 3.5 years, they can get to 3,000 subscribers that will pay this 100k plus if they maintain that. So you have to see it from this perspective also. If they have large customers that can pay a lot of money, it's not just small customers paying $50 a license. They have huge ones that are paying 100k for software license per license, right? 100k plus. Then SentinelOne switched to Flux model of licensing, and this is expected to increase subscriptions with a single initial contract where customers can add subscriptions for new features as needed. Because initially they did not have this Flux model. There are, every time it is a new contract. This means a new contract has to go through legal and jump through several hoops before they get signed. But now you open with one contract, but then it's a Flux model contract. So you can subscribe to tiers of their software based on the usage. So it makes it easier through these legal processes and conventional, going from one table to the another table kind of thing that will add a lot of delays. In this case, the company believes, I believe, that with the Flux model they can they can sell more to the customers that are existing already, just by within the same contract. Okay, that's what they mean by that. And FedRAMP, we talked about it, why that is very important, the gold standard, and they cracked into that and showcased the solution was very good, and really stands the highest of the stress tests that is required of the federal government providing security at the national level. So that, actually think of it, once you qualify, that is like a badge you wear. That is like something you can brag when you go to new customers, because you could be even like tempted to be a little arrogant, right? When you have this kind of a cybersecurity solution that has passed this highest of the highest. Okay, so I believe that should also be a pillar for the potential stock appreciation, basically getting new business by virtue of this quality that is already proven. And recently qualified for Schwarz digits in Europe, aimed at providing security solutions to European banks, because this Schwarz digits projects again is for the European bank security and for the data security and cyber security solutions in Europe, based in Germany, I believe. This again had a very high qualification criteria where SentinelOne was chosen again. Okay, so this also shows their solution is really good and they are winning in Europe. Okay, SentinelOne's capability as a native AI solution, that is very important. That reduces the stress on IT security teams, as most of the vetting is done at machine speed by the AI agent itself, giving valid signals, mostly valid signals to act upon at a high probability. That if there is a signal that comes out of this, that is mostly some kind of a real threat that they need to take care of. Okay, compared to keep on warning you about several things that are of no consequence. Okay, many legacy solutions are like that. This capability should help increase business as the solution is used more and more and the word gets around on ease of operation with Singularity. Then low price to sales multiple from a stock market multiple point of view. So it is 6.35 compared to the peers for SentinelOne growing ARR. SentinelOne is growing at 24% as we saw that. And peer multiple average level is around 19. If you take Palo Alto, Crowd and Zscaler stocks and just summed all their price to sales multiples and divided by 3, you get to 19. Compare 6.35 to 19. That's about 3 times, right? So basically, you can say that this stock is, so cheap compared to the peers. Still there could be some nuanced thing that may be influencing this. By no means I am claiming to be the expert to say that SentinelOne is really cheap. My impression is it looks cheaper, okay, but there could be a reason why this is cheap. Okay, to me it looks, it's probably must be higher than where it is. Okay, it is somewhere between 6.35 and 19. Okay, but it is definitely 6.35 looks like low to me, but I could be wrong. Okay, and finally, now we are at the end of the presentation. I want you guys, if you are so far, if this company interested you, go learn from Grok by asking this question. Actually, it provided a lot of insights and it gave such an information that made SentinelOne solution look so superior to its competitors. I didn't want to publish it here because I don't know who I'll be offending, even quoting Grok, right? So I want the users to go and do the research on themselves, go find out why Singularity platform is a winner. Okay, how how they are superior. Okay, and Grok gave a very detailed, brilliant response. Okay, I will take it by its word. Because I am not an expert, I may do Google, Gemini, and ChatGPT to further verify. Okay. You guys also can do your own due diligence and you can talk to IT experts to find that these statements are true. Okay, and I'm not vouching for any of this. Okay, I just posted this query and it gave such a good response and I liked what I saw. Okay, you guys can do and decide for yourself. Okay, so this is the question to ask: does Singularity platform, including Purple AI, a cybersecurity solution from SentinelOne, being a native AI solution, offer any advantage over cybersecurity solutions from its competitors? Okay, I didn't say which competitor, who does what. I just asked this question, and then this is the response that gave. And I'm not publishing the entire response because it did point the weaknesses of specific competitors and specific systems and what are their weaknesses. Okay, since I cannot vouch for any of that, I didn't want to put it in public information like this in this presentation. But you guys could do this. Okay, just post this query to Grok. If you have a Twitter account or a x.com account, go open that and click Grok and ask this question. then it gives you a very brilliant, detailed response. Okay. So it said, uh, yes, as a native AI cybersecurity solution, SentinelOne Singularity platform integrated with Purple AI and advanced AI-powered security analysis offers several substantiated advantages over competitors. Like it listed a bunch of competitors. Unlike many rivals that bolt on AI features to legacy systems. Look at it. Many of them have legacy systems and then they want to claim AI. So they are building some things around. But these systems were not built from scratch for AI. They are adding bells and whistles and then maybe to check some squares. I don't know how effective they will be. Maybe they are going to be effective, maybe they are not. I don't know. But Grok is clearly telling SentinelOne is a native AI platform, whereas the legacy systems the competitors have are not. And then they are just adding some bells and whistles to that. So Singularity is built from ground up with AI at its core, enabling autonomous machine speed operations. This is the thing, machine speed operation. There is no human intervention. The AI agent is really fast. It does at the machine speed. If your processor clock is at 5.1 gigahertz on your Intel i9, the best of the best, at north of 5 gigahertz, you are going to have this execute at that speed. Okay. At that clock speed, right? In nanoseconds, in microseconds, it has the response to provide the cyber security. Machine speed operations across endpoint protection, detection, response, cloud, identity, and data analytics, the entire gamut, full shebang. This native design reduces latency, minimizes human errors, and scales efficiently without high cost add-ons. And then it listed a table, put each competitor, what is the solution. They compared it with SentinelOne and they said where the competitor lacks. Okay. So I didn't want to obviously put that in here because I was not sure, how this will be taken, right? This is for individuals to go do research. Okay. Thus, is SentinelOne solution is superior? You do your, I used Grok, I used Gemini, I came to my own conclusion, and maybe I'm right, maybe my conclusions are wrong, but you start somewhere. Okay. You guys can do your own. Okay. Then Grok provided the table of SentinelOne native AI solution as contrasted with its competitors. As I said, that basically made me feel SentinelOne may have a winning product capable of winning a lot of new market share and chew into the TAM that we were talking about, target addressable market, aggressively going into the future. We saw $100 billion TAM, and given this kind of a very powerful product, the native AI product, okay, which no one else seems to have, in the age of AI, this company is well positioned, and that is actually, they are really making some mark because they qualified for the FedRAMP with their AI product, with that highest of the highest gold standard security standards they were able to pass. So, that is where I feel, they may have a very winning product, a native AI solution compared to the competitors. Sure, the competitors may have some way to still address the market. They may be still successful. I don't know whether for a fact, who will be the eventual winners. But I just feel SentinelOne has a winning product. Okay, that's my personal impression. I could be right. I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay, but I am of the view they have a winning product. So I'm saying, all the responses and everything, it is best seen directly from Grok than me displaying how good SentinelOne native AI solution that was built from scratch as an AI platform, in contrast to others that are trying to check squares in AI capabilities by adding to legacy solutions. Okay. And disclaimers, re-emphasis. Okay. And this is not a recommendation to invest in SentinelOne. I want to re-emphasize that. It was just, I scrubbed through SentinelOne, I just shared the information, what I saw, what I got excited about. Okay, the information provided in this presentation is for educative purposes only. Investing involves capital risk. Information provided here could have factual errors, and that's pretty much it. Okay, everyone should invest on their own risk. Okay, everyone should do their due diligence before investing. So with that said, good luck, bye bye. I may come out with another video or another stock. If you liked it, please subscribe my channel and maybe put a like for me. I may do similar work. It may encourage me to do similar work on stocks I research. I can share that information for investors or for potentially people who may be interested in stock markets. Thank you really for your patience going through my presentation. I appreciate that. Thank you.